Romans 12, and I want to look at verses 1 through 2. Romans 12, verses 1 and 2, as is on our screen today. Romans 12, verses 1 and 2. These are the words. I beseech you, therefore, brethren, by the mercies of God, that you present your bodies a living sacrifice, wholly acceptable unto God, which is your reasonable service. And be not conformed to this world, but be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind, that you may prove what is that good and acceptable and perfect will of God. I want to talk from this thought, Deaconess Smith, a whole new you.
Jesus.
New you. Amen. A whole new you. I didn't say a whole new do. I said a whole new you. We bless the name of the Lord. How many remember on those shows where they would give you a makeover, and you would come out on stage, Larry, and they would say all of the things that were wrong with you in their sight, and then the Murray would pay for your makeover, and then bring you back just before the show ended, and show everybody the new you. But how many know that a new you is not in your physicality? It is not built in a hairdo or clothing. The new you is birthed inside. Cricket, man looks on the outward, but God judges the inward man. Paul says there's a constant fight inside of me, Deacon Watkins. There's a constant battle, carnal man and spiritual man. And let me share this with you. Who you feed most will prevail. Who you feed most will prevail. Paul is interestingly talking about something that is very near and dear to us all, that transformation, you would think, the scripture might say, be ye transformed by the renewing of your heart. I mean, after all, the heart is perhaps the most vital, the most important organ that we have. Why not be ye transformed by the renewing of your heart? I suggest to you that as much as we need our heart, and as important as our heart is, renewal may not even come from the heart. Because many of us are walking around with broken hearts. Many of us are walking around with shattered hearts. Many of us are walking around with a dagger through our heart, brought on by someone who has hurt you. And so we don't always feel the same in our hearts. Sometimes we wake up with joyful. Sometimes we wake up and we're sadful, mournful, frustrated, angry. Those are matters of the heart. But the mind, my brothers and sisters, the mind, as we know, some people have rightly said in that idiom, that the mind may in fact be the devil's playground. I wish I had somebody praying with me on this blustery Monday, because the mind is so important that God works transformation first through the mind. Because opposite is true. If the enemy can get your mind, am I preaching?
Yes, you are.
If the enemy can be housed in the annex of your mind, then your actions follow. Mind is a terrible thing to waste. I often wonder, Cricket, what are some people thinking? What is on your mind? May I remind you that not everybody who comes to church is in church. Not everybody who comes to praise is actually praising. Not everybody who steps across the thresholds of the congregation is here to give God glory. Man, well, somebody's mind is in China. Somebody's mind is on what they're going to eat tonight. Somebody's mind is wondering how they're going to make rent tomorrow. Somebody's mind is trying to figure out how they're going to make ends meet. Somebody's mind is figuring out how they're going to get back at the enemy. Somebody's mind is sitting here thinking about doing things uncomely and unseemly and ungodly. Somebody's mind is way out in left field. But look at your neighbor and say, get your mind right. Get your mind right. Get your mind right. Because if you can get your mind right, that's already a combatant for the enemy, because the enemy knows that the struggle is in the mind. Oh, thank you for letting us know. First of all, in the very first verse, he says, be not conformed to this world. My God, that's preaching. Kim, be not conformed to this world. In other words, if you're godly, be godly.
Yes.
If you're in Christ, be in Christ. If you're going to be in the world all the way. If you're going to play with the devil, play with him all the way. If you're going to be a worldly person, be a worldly person all the way. If you talk carnal, talk it all the time. If you cuss all the time. But if you're in Christ, be in Christ all the time. If you praise him all the time. Not just depicted upon who's here or who's not here. If you love the Lord, love him always. If you serve him always. If you want to give God glory, give it to him always. God is good all the time. Be not conformed to this world. Tells us then that our bodies are temples, Deacon Watkins, that we ought to live holy because that is our reasonable and acceptable service. When God asks you to live holy, that's not asking us to do anything strange, or at least it shouldn't be. If he's telling you to live holy, that's your reasonable service. Talking right is your reasonable service. Loving your neighbor, that's what's asked of you. That shouldn't be a hard thing to do. Talking godly talk shouldn't be a hard task to do. He says, live holy. This is your reasonable service. God has not asked you to do anything that you can't do. Somebody says, God is too hard to live this Christian race. God is too hard to love my enemies. God is too hard for me to be favorable over those who are not favorable over me. God is too hard to brush by my enemies without going upside their head. God, it's too hard for me to stop cussing. It's too hard for me to stop drinking. It's too hard for me to stop running. No, it's not. God expects that of you. God knows that you can do that. God has equipped you to be able to do it. God has poured his anointing in you to be able to live right. God has invested in you so that you can walk around and represent him. Turn to your neighbor and say, it's hard, but it's better if you try. Because if you try, God will give you the wherewithal to be all that you are to be with him. Be ye holy. Do not be conformed to this world. The second verse, and it is here for our preachment and teaching today, is the second word is to be ye transformed. I got 3 points and I'm out of your way. I promise y'all can go back home and get on the internet. I promise I won't be long. But the 3 points I want to put out today for you is that the mind can play tricks on you.
Yes, it
write
can.
that down. Your mind can play tricks on you. Wesley, is there anybody here that can testify and say, I know that Pastor's right. I don't know how he's up in my Kool-Aid, because that is right. That just this week, my mind played tricks on me. Some people walk around thinking that everybody is talking about them. That's your mind playing tricks on you. You better stop tripping. Ain't everybody thinking about you? You ain't on everybody's mind. Ain't everybody wasting their time talking about you. You paranoid. What did you do to make you think that everybody is talking about you? You ain't all that. Come on, somebody. You walking around here thinking that everybody got your name on their lips. That's so. And if they're talking, they may be saying something right. I wish I had somebody praying with me. Your mind can play tricks on you. Is there anybody here who's had their mind play tricks on them? I mean, you heard things that wasn't said. You processed things that weren't real. You thought about stuff that God said, I ain't give you that to think of. That ain't from me. You processed things that wasn't even from God. Your mind can play tricks on you. And because the enemy knows that he can play tricks on your mind, he'll put some stuff in your mind. Come here, Lucifer. You're the one that thought that you could be God too. That's why you got cast out of heaven, because you thought that you could be just as God was. That's his mind playing tricks on him. Is there anybody here that your mind played tricks on you? How so, Pastor? Because the devil probably told you at some point in your life that God was through with you, but wasn't that a lie? Somebody here heard that God didn't love you, but wasn't that a lie? Somebody here knows that somebody said God don't forgive you, but how many know that was just your mind playing tricks on you? Tap yourself upside the head and say, I got to get my mind right, because the God I serve loves me. The God I serve forgives me. The God I serve delivers me. The God I serve blesses me. The God I serve strengthens me. The God I serve anoints me. The God I serve protects me. Deacon Watkins, our mind can play tricks on us. Secondly, I need to suggest that your mind is transitory. Now, that's a big word. It doesn't really mean much. Your mind is transitory. Deacon Williams, I need to share with you. What do I mean by that, transitory? What I mean by that, Nikki Dotson, is, have you ever seen mothers who lifted cars off of their loved ones? You ever see a mother lift a whole car that her baby was jammed under? That's your mind kicking in. How many know that the runner's high, when a runner is running in the marathon and he or she hits that wall and their physicality wants to stop, their whole being is sunken, they want to just quit the race, but there's something called a second wind, you know what I'm talking about, that kicks in and helps you to finish the race. Some of you here, you know that your mind is transitory because you wanted to quit already in 2019, but God kicked in a second wind, and here you are still running. Here you are still praying. Here you are still pressing. Here you are still believing. The devil told you to give up on you, but here you are still here on a blustery Monday, giving God praise anyhow. Somebody here got to go back home to hell, but you're here giving God some hallelujah. Somebody got to go to work tomorrow with crooked co-workers and sneaky supervisors, but here you are because you have that mindset in and say, with God I can make it. I believe I can fly. Not R. Kelly. I believe I can fly. I believe I can touch the sky. Yes, oh God, I know today that my mind got to be right. Your mind is transitory. You get great strength in times of weakness. That is called the Baader-Meinhof. Evangelist Burgess called the Baader-Meinhof when you buy a car and then you see it everywhere. You don't really see it everywhere. You're just now more aware. I wish y'all would help me preach up in here. Your mind is transitory. Thirdly, I'm going to share this with you. Your mind is transformative. I'm going to break this down in 3 parts, and I'm going to sit down. Your mind is transformative. Your mind can be transformed in 3 ways. If you could write this down. First of all, our mind is made up of 3 parts. The emotive, the cognitive, and the intuitive. The emotive, the cognitive, and the intuitive. Thank y'all for who's writing it down. Thank you. Because it's going to help you later on in the year. The emotive, Manuel, you know what it is. Some people are driven by their emotions. Their whole life is governed by their emotions. They're governed by their emotions. They haven't checked in with God. They haven't prayed. They haven't fasted. They haven't consulted scripture. They haven't consulted like persons who are walking on the journey. They're just emotional creatures. They make decisions through their emotions. If it feels good, Wesley, they do it. Preach, man. Doing the best I can. And if you live by your emotions, you can get yourself in a lot of trouble. If you govern yourself by what feels good, everything that feels good ain't good to you or for you. I wish I had somebody helping me preaching here. But if you're living and driven by your emotions, emotions, Deaconess Aiken, what happens is you find yourself in an emotional crisis. And that's why some people live their life, Dolores. They're always dramatic. Everything is emotional. They're driven by anger and frustration. They meet every challenge with drama. They can never just work it out. They can never just attach a scripture to it. It always got to be a cuss word to it. You know what I'm talking about. They can never apply wisdom to it. It's always driven out of the emotive character. And they get themselves in further trouble and deeper damage because they govern their whole life and their mindset is on emotion. Second piece is the intuitive. My intuition tells me that you're doing this. My intuition tells me that you're doing that. My intuition tells me that I've got to get you first before you get me. Am I preaching to anybody here? If you govern your life lived on intuitions, how many know intuition is not concrete? That is some abstract thinking of what might not even happen. Is there anybody here who's ever just kind of made a storm in your life and the storm never even came? And you created a crisis that never came. You worried about stuff that never happened. You stressed over stuff that didn't even take place. Preach Tim Jordan. You drove yourself crazy for stuff that didn't even take place. You stayed up all night for nothing. You got drunk for nothing. You got high for nothing. When you came down in the morning, you were sick, hugging the toilet. The problem that you worried about that caused you to get the fit didn't even happen. In the name of Jesus, I'm preaching. You went and got the bag of weed and smoked it in anticipation of what was going to happen, and it didn't happen, and you regretted the move that you made because your intuition made you get sick, get high, do drugs, do whatever. You cannot govern yourself by intuition. Oh man, I'm working hard today, and y'all don't even know. So Deacon Rock is not only the emotive, not only the intuitive, but the cognitive piece. This is really where Paul is. Cognitive means simply, I know what I know. That I know. That I know. What I know. That I know. Is there anybody here that says, it's concrete inside my mind? Whatever that is, good, bad, or indifferent. I hope it's toward Godward that there's no doubt in your sanctified mind that there is a God and that the God that you serve loves you. That there is without question God's love and grace abounding toward you. That no devil or devil can take or shake out of your mind. Is there some cognitive things that you know beyond the shadow of a doubt that God is for us? And if he's for us, who can be against us? That's transformative. That's transformation, Larry. When I know beyond a shadow of doubt that there's a God sitting above on his throne. His eyes run to and fro. He sits high, but he looks low. That transforms me. Brothers and sisters, just to know that God loves me. Yes. Without a doubt. Yes. In spite of my shortcomings. Come on, Pastor. He loves me. Yes. In spite of my mistakes, he loves me. In spite of my bad temper sometimes, ooh, he loves me. Is there anybody here who can testify that God loves them? And without a doubt, ooh, yeah, don't we work it out? If you believe today that you got a transformed mind, give God some praise. Well, not quite there, but say it's a whole new you. Somebody say, I looked at my hands and they look new. Ooh. Since Jesus came into my life, somebody know he put running in your feet and clapping in your hands. And somebody say joy on the inside. Somebody don't want to do it, want to do it, want to do it, want to transform your thinking, want to bless your thinking. Has it put a new walk? Has it give you a new talk? Has it give you a new outlook? I want to tell you a story, and then I'm going to my seat. I was in Memphis several years ago. I went to Dr. Martin Luther King, the Lorraine Motel, where an assassin's bullet cut him down. I couldn't believe my eyes when I stood there on that balcony where they slayed Dr. King. I looked just over adjacent to the building where James Earl Jones was. And I got to tell you, the distance just blew my mind. It was as if he was right on top of King. I couldn't believe it. I said King had no chance. How in the world did nobody see him? He stuck that rifle outside that window, and it changed history for the worse. But that thing transformed me. I was lucky on that day. The day I was there, Stokely Carmichael was in the building too. Stokely Carmichael was one of King's most closest advisors. He was there that same day. I asked him would he give me a tour, and he acquiesced to my request. I walked behind Stokely Carmichael as he gave the tour, and we went to Dr. King's room. It was just as he had left it. He had a plate of fish and grits that were half eaten. It dawned on me, just like the plate was not consumed, just like his plate was not finished, his mission was not finished. His mission was interrupted by an assassin's bullet that transformed me. I came out of Memphis a brand new man. I came out of Memphis a brand new preacher. I came out of Memphis a brand new human. But I know somebody else who transformed me. His name is Jesus. His name is Jesus. He died on Friday. He transformed me. He was there all Friday night. It transformed me. He was there all Friday morning. That transformed me. All afternoon. That transformed me. All night. Saturday night. He was still there. It transformed me. But early. I said early. Sunday morning, he got up. Somebody say yes. By the renewing of your mind, give your neighbor a high five and say there's a whole new you. There's a whole new you.